So, Salamullahi alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you all, my dear sisters? We are going to explain today about the characteristic of strength, softness, and in between, or shidda, الرخاوة, and البينية. And this is the second characteristic of the group of characteristics with opposites or the binary characteristics. And we said that the Arabic letter, each Arabic letter must have one of each. So the Arabic letter must be either whisper or apparent, either mahmus or majhur. And regarding what we are going to study today, it's going to be strong or in between or soft, shadid or bayni or rah. We did explain before about the strength, and this was last week, alhamdulillah, and we did cover, and we did say that a strong letter, it means, or strength in any letter means that there is an imprisonment of the sound. There is an imprisonment of the sound. I have to put this so the sound will be clear. There is an imprisonment of the sound due to closing off the articulation point. Today we are going to study the soft letter. Soft letter or softness or الرخاوة is completely the opposite. Strong letter, imprisonment of the sound. Soft letter, it's complete flow of the sound. Here the articulation point is closed. Here with soft letters or رخ letters, the articulation point is completely open. So softness or الرخاوة is completely let's take this pencil. It's completely the opposite, my dear sister, of strength. This is the opposite of this totally, okay? This is imprisonment of sound. Here, complete flow of sound. Here, closing off of the articulation point. Here, complete opening of the articulation point, okay? That's why the sound here is in present, and here that's why the sound is running. Okay? Okay. Regarding the in-between letters, it's going to be in between, like its name. The sound is not going to completely closed or imprisoned as with the strong letters, and neither is going to be completely running as with soft, because the articulation point here is not also that closed like or completely closed like with the strong letters, neither completely opened like with soft letters. Clear? Clear. Easy? Inshallah, it's easy. Okay? Simple as that. Tajweed is like math. If you understand the reason, you're going to apply the rule very easily. Okay? So, again, I'm going to make comparisons. Strength or shidda, imprisonment of sound, softness, opposite, complete flow of sound. Regarding articulation point and between letters or the in-between letters. Okay, there is a complete flow? No, there is a partial flow of sound. Partial flow of sound. Here, imprisonment of sound. Here, softness is complete flow of sound. This is in between. So there is a partial, underline partial flow of sound. Fine, fine. This is number one. Regarding running or the flow or the imprisonment of the sound. Number two, regarding the articulation point. Well, with strong letters or shadida letters, well, the sound is an imprisonment, so logically, the articulation point will be closed due to closing off the articulation point. Closed. Closed. Softness, opposite, totally opposite. So articulation point will be completely open. Open totally. Try it with any letter except for أجد قاتم Beckett and Len Omar, the rest are soft letters. Ash. Try it with me. Oh, I can extend the sound as much as I want because the articulation point is opened. Ah, ah, of. Okay. Ow, ow. All these are soft. رخاوة or رخو letters. The articulation point is opened. In between letters, we said there is a partial flow of sound because the articulation point is not that closed as with a strong, with أجد bracket, and not that open. So the closure here is incomplete. So the articulation point is incomplete closed. So due to the incomplete closure of the articulation point, it's logic, my dear sister. Arabic letters regarding flow and the imprisonment of the sound, we are talking about 2 points. The flow of the sound and the articulation point. Because the articulation point, it is the one which is controlling the sound. Closed, totally closed, as with the strong letter, there will be an imprisonment of the sound, and the letter will be strong. And they are the letters of أجد قدم bracket. The articulation point will be totally opened, so the sound will be completely fluid. Completely. There is a complete, underline complete flow of the sound because the articulation point is opened. And those are all the Arabic letters except for the letter of strength, أجد قدم bracket, plus the letters of in between, les nombres. In between letters, the articulation point will not that open, that close. There is there is an incomplete closing of the articulation point or incomplete opening. So both are correct. So here we are going to have partial flow with soft letters, complete flow. I can extend the sound as long as I want, forever. Ash. Until I have a breath, I can. But of course, there are limits in the recitation of Quran. But here, the articulation point is totally open, so I can extend the sound. There is a complete flow. In between, there is a partial flow of the sound because the articulation point is not that open, neither not that closed. There is a partial closing or partial opening in the articulation point. So, the sound will be stopped automatically. I can extend, yeah, but not that much, not like with soft. Al, an, ar. Okay. So this is just a comparison between them because when you make comparison between things, the things will look much better, clearer. Okay. Okay. Now let's go to the book and read about our today's lesson, which we did explain in general. Softness or الرخاوة, my dear sisters, it is the complete flow of the sound of the soft letter when it passes through the articulation point. And this is due to the complete opening of the articulation point. And they have we have the sheen as an example. Try to pronounce sheen. Ash, 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 ash. The sound is running, yes? Ash. Look to the articulation point, it's open. It's not closed. Totally open. That's why the sound can move and run. And remember, regarding sheen, it's not only the sound is running. We did study Hamza and Jahr, whisper and apparent. Sheen, it's a letter of the sentence سكت فحثه شخص. It's a whispered letter. It's a mahmous letter. So the breath is running. So with sheen, both, kindly concentrate with me, my dear sister, both are running. Breath and sound. Breath, that's why it's a whispered letter, it's mahmous letter, and sound, that's why it's a letter of رخاوة or a soft letter. Correct? Now we are going to gather the characteristics of each letter until we are going by the end of the chapter of characteristics. We know each letter how many characteristics he has. Let's watch the video of letter Shin, okay? Kindly pay attention and look to the flow of the sound and air, and that the articulation point is completely open, okay? Okay, you see the articulation point is completely open, and the sound is running, also the breath is running. That's why we represent the air, the breath with this white spot, okay? So here, two are running, sound and breath. Sound, so it's soft, rah. Breath, so it's mahmous, okay? Okay. So this is regarding the رخاوة, softness. I think, inshallah, it's understood now. It's not difficult. Now we are going to move to بينية, or the in-between letters. Here we are going to take some time. We're going to take some time because we are going to explain each letter separately. Why? Because those letters, Lin Omar, especially regarding Ain and Ra, there is some problem with some sisters. So inshallah, today we are going to explain in detail everything about the Ra and the Ain. So the ones who have problems with Ra and Ain, kindly pay extra attention. Extra attention. After today, inshallah, you will be able to master the pronunciation of Ain and Ra, because today we give you the small things which make difference. You're going to see everything by charts, by videos, so inshallah it will be clear. Inshallah, I hope so. Regarding the in-between letters or the بينية, which we were explaining, it is the بينية or the in-between. It is the partial flow of the sound. Over there, we say the complete flow when we talk about softness, remember. Here, it is only, my dear sister, it is the partial flow. Okay? Partial flow of the sound in the articulation point of the in-between letter due to its incomplete closure. You are going to say incomplete closure, incomplete openings, same thing. But the articulation point is not totally closed and not totally open. That's why the sound is also not totally running. We don't have flow or complete flow, and also there is no complete imprisonment of sound. There is a partial flow. Okay, partial. Remember this word. This is very essential. Partial, okay? Because over there, we'll return back to the previous page, okay? No. With رخاوة, there is complete flow, okay? With بينية, partial flow. Pay attention, kindly. This is very important. Okay. The letters of بينية, they are gathered in the sentence لن عمر. Okay, so now we are going to see or watch and notice what's happening with each letter, because this is very important. We start with lam. You remember the articulation point of lam? We are going to go back to the articulation point. Okay? So you will understand what we are going to say today, okay? Okay, my dear sisters. This is the articulation point of lam. The lam is the area of the lam. We are going to read together. From the nearest part of the two edges of the tongue to its utmost or the end tip of the tip, with what lies opposite to them of the upper palate. Remember, Dod and Lam, they are from the edge. And here, this is the part which is working regarding the tongue, and this is the part where the tongue will meet regarding the upper palate. Okay? Try with me. This part with this. Okay? This is the articulation point of Lam. Okay. Now we are going to talk about how the shape of the articulation point does affect the direction of the sound, and Lam becomes as an in-between letter or a Binéi letter. Let's go to page number 89. Well, here, my dear sisters, when we pronounce the Lam, the sound is coming and walking right away in a straight line to go outside of the mouth, like any sound. But what happened that the tip of the tongue is closed. The tip of the tongue is like an abstract. It represents a kind of abstraction to the sound. So the sound, instead of complete running directly, he will be drifted to right and left. That's why Lam and Ra, they have the characteristic of inhiraf or drifting. Drifting, it's related to the direction of sound. The sound supposed to come out here, like here, like here. It was coming straight. It's clear here. But this part is completely closed. The tip of the tongue, it's only the tip. This, not this part. This is wrong in printing. So the tip is closed. So the sound is blocked here. So the sound had to go out. So he will drift to both sides, right and left. If you look here, right and left. That's why the articulation point is not completely open. Of course, it's not that open. And also, it's not completely closed. The sound find a way to go out from the side, from right and left. That's why the Lam becomes an in-between letter, because the articulation point is not that open like with Sheen, and not that closed like with Jim, for example. So it's partly open. Yes, it's closed from the front. The tip, it represents kind of abstraction to the sound, but the sound can run away from both sides, from right and left. That's why the sound of Lam becomes, or when we pronounce the Lam, there is a partial flu. There is no a complete flu, and neither there is no an imprisonment of the flu of the sound. There is a partial flu of the sound because of the articulation point is not totally opened, neither totally closed. So due to the incomplete closure of the articulation point. Clear? Inshallah, it is clear. Okay? Okay? Fine. So this is regarding the Lam. Let's read together what's written in the book of Dr. Aymen Swaid. May Allah bless him. The partial flu of the sound when pronouncing Lam due to the interception of the tip of the tongue to its release. Due to the interception of the tip of the tongue to its release. So it becomes as a kind of, there's an abstraction to the sound here. So the tip of the tongue is interrupting the flow of the sound. Due to the interception of the tip of the tongue to its release. Okay. We go to the Ra. Ra, it is the same idea, my dear sister, but it is the opposite of Lam. It is the opposite of Lam. Lam, if you remember, we said that the sound was coming directly and then the tip of the tongue obstruct its way, so it will run or it will be drifted to both sides, to the right and to the left. Ra also, the sound will be drifted, but not to the right and left. Let's see what's happening with the Ra. Here's the Ra, my dear sister. As for Ra, the opposite happens. Its sound drifts from the sides of the tip of the tongue towards its middle. Because when I pronounce the Ra, you remember the Ra? You remember the articulation point? Let me remind you. Let me remind you first, because it will be much better. Regarding the Ra. Yes. This is the articulation point of the Ra. You remember? I want to read it. The articulation point of the Ra. From the tip of the tongue. Can't pay attention with Ra and Ain, because I know some of you still have problem with Ra and Ain. The articulation point of Ra, it's from the tip of the tongue with what lies opposite to it of the gums or the alveolar ridge. Same. Close to the articulation point of Noon. Tip of the tongue with what lies opposite to it from the alveolar ridge or the gums. Close to the articulation point of Noon. But what happened? There will be a gap. There will be a gap. The gap here, because we said it's right and left, those are the parts which are making contact with the gums. Yes, the tip will make contact with what lies opposite to it from the gums of the alveolar ridge. But it's only the right and left side, right and left. But in the middle, there is a gap from where the sound is running. So not complete the tip like with Lam. Lam, the complete tip, it was making contact with the upper palate. With Ra, right and left. But the middle, it left free. Because this is from where the sound is running. And if you do not make this, the Ra will be trailed too much. And this is will have more than Ra repetition, which is not correct. And you are not going to curve it. Because if you curve the tab, you are going to pronounce the English Ra, no. The gap, we're going to read the gap through which a part of the sun, partial flew. You see? That's why I return to the articulation point for those letters, because I know some, they have problem. So already when we were explaining in the chapter of Makharij, or the articulation point, we said that there is a part, there is running of part of the sound, partial flow of the sound. So the gap through which a part of the sound passes when pronouncing the Ra, without which, kindly pay attention, without which means if I didn't do this, the articulation point would be locked completely, which would result in the forbidden repetition. Okay? So this is the articulation point. Return to the chapter of characteristics. Well, what's happening, this part and this part, it is the part which is making contact with the gums or the alveolar ridge. You can see, my dear sisters, kindly pay attention. This is so important. Only right and left. Please, for God's sake, for Allah's sake, do not make contact in this part. This is the gap. from where the sound is running. If you close this part, this point, which is left free, this is the middle left free. Here you can see. The sound will be blocked, and you will repeat the ra more than it's needed. There is very slight trill with the Arabic ra. But no. Okay? When this happened, the sound was coming straight. But here, right and left is closed. So the sound will be drafted from both sides to the middle. To the middle. Totally the opposite of lamb. Lamb, all this is closed. All this is closed, yes? So the sound coming straight away, so this is closed, so he will be drafted to both sides, right and left. But here it's drafted from both sides to the middle, opposite of lamb. Opposite of lamb. And that's why ra, it's having the characteristic of inhiraf or drifting like lamb, the drifting of the sound. So the only two letters, the two Arabic letters, which have the characteristic of inhiraf, and this is from the group without opposites, they are the lam and the ra, because of the direction of the sound. Direction of the sound. And because of this, ra, it's an in-between letter. It's a Baini letter because articulation point is not totally closed and not totally opened. So there is a partial flow of sound. Okay? Clear? Inshallah, it's clear. Inshallah, it's clear. I will make comparison between lam and ra to remember. This is lam. This is the drifting of lam. This is the direction of the sound. This is why lam, it's an in-between letter. Here, the tab is completely closed. So that sound will be drifted from the middle to right and left. With ra, opposite. It's closed from right and left. And the middle is left free. Free. Okay? If you close this, it will be trilled, and if you close this, it will be curved automatically because it will be hard to make contact with the alveolar ridge or with the gum. It will be curved. So you are going to trill, plus you are going to pronounce the English ra, run, rabbit, whatever. Okay. With the ra, it is the opposite of lam. The sound will drift from both sides to the middle. Because right here it's open. You see? Lam, you see lam and ra together? You see this is the lam, this is the lam, and this is the ra, okay? I hope it's clear. Inshallah, it's clear. Okay? Okay. So explain about the ra and the lam. We want to explain about the noon and the meme. Remember the noon. We'll go to the articulation point of noon. Noon, it's page, yes, this page, the same page. Why I return to the articulation point? Because characteristic, if you remember when we explained about characteristics, articulation point is explained from where the letter is pronounced. The characteristics are explained how it's pronounced. Okay? Usually I do not return to the articulation point, but regarding those ones, I return because some of you have problems. The noon, from where it's pronounced, I'm going to read with you from the tip of the tongue. From the tip of the tongue, with what lies opposite to it of the gums or alveolar ridge, a little below the articulation point of the lamb. Okay? It's accompanied by a ghunna from the khayshum or the nasal cavity. Khayshum is the nasal cavity. Okay? two parts are working with noon, the tongue and the nasal cavity. Again, I will repeat. Kindly pay attention. When we pronounce the noon and the meme, we have two articulation points, the mouth part and the nasal cavity. The mouth part with noon, it is the tip of the tongue with the alveolar ridge or with the gums. The nasal cavity is the nasal cavity, which is producing the oil. Okay? Okay. So here we're going to explain why the noon is an in-between letter. We said in general that in-between letter or بيني letter, حرف البينية, because there is a partial flow of the sound because due to the incomplete closure of the articulation point or of the makhraj. Okay, this is in general. Okay, in details, when I there is a sound, kindly mute the sound. In general, when I'm pronouncing the noon, okay, and and the mouth part is totally closed. Try it. Try it with me. And tip of the tongue here is completely closing the sound. You see? You see the sound stopped, cannot go out. The tip completely closed the sound from running from the mouth. So he had to go back and run from the nasal cavity, producing the ghunna. And 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 so the mouth part is completely closed, but the nasal cavity part is open. That's why the noon is an in-between letter or بيني letter, because the articulation point not totally closed, because the nasal, yes, the mouth part is closed, but the nasal cavity is open, and not totally open because the mouth part is closed. See? And me, my dear sister, same. What's happening with noon? It's happening with meme. Let's go to the articulation point of meme first. 53. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Bismillah. Well, this is the articulation point of the meme. I'm going to read. By closing the two lips together, accompanied by ghunna or nasalization from the nasal cavity. So closing the two lips, so the mouth part regarding meme, it is the lips. It's closed. So the sound will try to go out. Sorry, it's closed. So he will run from the nasal cavity. Same like noon. Same like noon. That's why. So the meme here, lips are closed. So the sound will try to go out from here. Oh, sorry, it's closed. So he will run away from the nasal cavity. That's why the meme, like noon, are in between letters بينية, because articulation point is not totally closed because nasal cavity is opened. Not totally opened because the mouth part is closed. And that's why they have the characteristic of بينية or in between characteristic. Let's read. The partial flow of the sound when pronouncing noon and meme due to the opening, number one, the opening of the nasal part, the ghunna, and closure of the mouth part of them both. Clear? It's easy, wallahi. It's easy. It's very easy, wallahi. Don't worry, folks. It's easy. Let's watch the videos, okay? Let's watch the videos. Okay. Let's go. Now you want to watch the videos of Ra, Lam, Nun, and Mim. I think maybe, okay, let's go anyway. We're going to see now the letter lam. Okay, I think the pictures are better in some letters. That's why I started it. With Ra, you were going to see the video of Ra, but with short and in the book it was explained much better than the video. Also, the video, they are the videos, of course, of Dr. Aymen Swaid from his book. May Allah reward him. Okay, let's see, watch the Ra. And this is heavy Ra, by the way. This is a video of heavy Ra because the back of the tongue is raised, okay? Okay. Now let's watch the meme, the video of meme. You see? I will repeat it because this is very good. So you see, the sound was stopped here because the lips were closed. And you had to run away from the nasal cavity producing the ghunna. Let's go to watch the video of noon. It will be the same story as meme. With noon. Only 2 minutes are remain, so I think we will stop here. Okay. You see with noon, same. Sound was coming here, but the tip of the tongue is completely closing, it's running. So it will run or escape from the nasal cavity producing the ghunna. Very good. So I think we are going to stop here for today because it's already the time it's finished. And inshallah, we are going to continue next week. Inshallah, next Sunday, the letter of Bayniya or the in-between letter because this lesson is very important because it will affect this characteristic of strength in between and soft, الرخاوة, شدة بينية, affect the duration of the Arabic letter when it's set. And this is one of the most important cases. So, سلام الله عليكم ورحمته وبركاته. Okay, my dear sisters,